A possessed woman. Lord our God, other lords besides you have ruled over us, but your name alone do we honor. Isaiah 26:13. Wow, she looks strong, was my first impression of the lady in her early 20s. She was tall, sturdy, and looked healthy. As we exchanged a few words, something began to feel strange. She talked ceaselessly the whole day. She was seemingly a know-it-all. She talked so well that anything she said sounded plausible. She said, "I smell snakes, and I can tell where a snake is. And when a snake moves, it makes a noise. It's like a bell rattling." Surprised, I asked, "The smell of a snake? What is it like?" "It smells kind of fish." I couldn't help but to tilt my head, thinking that was bizarre. Everyone at Shimto went hiking to a nearby mountain, and we heard the beautiful singing of a bird. That's when she said, "That's a snake's sound." It was at the moment that her mental illness was clearly confirmed. More than any other illnesses, psychosis or mental illness is scary and dreadful. I have seen many mental patients. Anyone and everyone can get this disease, and once it occurs, it reoccurs very often. That's why ones who are confirmed to be fully recovered still cannot be fully relieved. Mental illness means to have a problem in the way one thinks. Therefore, one can only be healed when they identify the cause of the illness and win the victory in the fierce battle against themselves. When a thought comes in from an external source, man tends to intently concentrate on it, without knowing that it is actually the beginning of mental illness. They are not aware of the fact that it is extremely dangerous to accept any or every thought without any resistance. When a thought comes into one's mind, it leads to a repetition of a certain way of speaking or behaving, which becomes a habit, and habits become one's character. This is the mechanism for all kinds of addictions. Either the thought rules you, or you rule the thought. There is no middle ground. When she learned this, she began to train herself to practice to be able to rule those thoughts. She fasted and prayed countless times. When she took medications prescribed by her doctor, she became delirious and couldn't do anything. That's why she had to discontinue her medication and call upon Jesus every moment in sobriety. Mental illness is basically the battle against Satan. Therefore, one can only get complete control over thoughts by complete dependence on Jesus. It's a life or death war. In order to win the war, one must proclaim that he will now decidedly refuse the thoughts from Satan which he used to accept without resistance. In other words, it means to choose God every single moment, make a firm decision, and call upon Jesus. Not an easy thing to do. She had to stay alert at all times because a moment of inattention would lead again to those dark thoughts. Up until that time, she had always lost the battle because she didn't know how to get the victory. But now she finally learned the way and she could win. She now realized the identity of the enemy. Even in the middle of the turmoil of unpleasant feelings and thoughts in her mind, she would struggle to keep herself from falling into those thoughts and call out the name of Jesus Christ. Then, without fail, he would free her from them. When in unbearable frustration and anxiety due to jealousy, she also called upon Jesus. Then he would deliver her from those burning speculations. Every time she experienced this turmoil, she would lose weight. The battle with self that she was experiencing was extremely fierce. Sometimes she would be confined to bed for days because she was too exhausted. However, after repeated victory in this spiritual battle, her way of thinking was slowly changing. She was having a vivid experience of the truth that one's way of life and thinking can change when one determines and calls upon Jesus. She learned that the only way to be happy is to allow Christ to stay in her heart. She was now able to live in peace with a soft and calm mind by communicating and forming a relationship with God.